Shake it like you mean it, baby. Come on and dance with me. Come on. Shake it like you mean it, baby. Come on and dance with me.
Yeah, if people only knew that we were over here on the backside. Oh, hopeless. One of these days, hopefully we'll get it. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've had that happen before. Definitely. Weird. I wish we could give out like prizes. Hold on, you were sounding fine to me. You were sounding fine to me. Oh yeah, your audio's dead. I can hear me. Yeah, I can hear me. Hmm. Janet can also hear me. Janet can also hear me.
Is that working now? I think it is. I think it is. Yeah, I can see my little thing. Well, sorry about that. I don't even remember what I said. I don't think it was anything of any importance other than
You were talking about Thunder Snow, and I mentioned
Thunder
it would
Snow.
be,
Yes.
and then I was like, it would be cool if we could give out prizes for finishing the book, and you're like, oh yeah, like Pizza
Yes.
Hut.
Yes, the reading. So does everybody remember? And I assume they were still doing this when you were in school, but certainly when I was in school, you had your summer reading, and oh my gosh, I was that nerd who was like, you know what? I'm gonna read all the books, or actually I've read those books already. I'm just gonna create my own list, and I'm gonna check them all off, and I'm gonna get the coupon. And honestly, I don't ever even remember getting the personal pan pizza. I just remember knowing that I finished and being so excited and having the coupon. And that's all that mattered to me.
The bragging rights.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was such a dork. Oh, your kids did those? Yeah. It was was it Scholastic?
Yeah.
I can't remember. There was like a Scholastic and Pizza Hut.
Oh man, Scholastic Book Fair.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You know, somebody was talking about recently, and I was like, an adult Scholastic Book Fair, like that would. Can you imagine?
Oh, I've seen people like make reels about that on social media.
Yeah, but can you imagine? Like, you know, a lot of our quilty friends, our quilt study friends, who are downsizing, retiring. Unfortunately, you know, a few people have passed away, and their friends and family are trying to distribute their collection. And I just keep thinking, like, if we could just gather up all those books, there's multiples of like lots of stuff. It could totally be like a quilty Scholastic Book Fair. Where would we have it? Would anybody come?
I just remember those things as a kid. And you know what's so funny is like books were expensive back then. And like,
yeah, well, I remember I would get like, I don't know, an $8 limit or something, like a $7.
There was nothing on there for $8, was there?
Honey, I'm a little bit older than you.
But I'm thinking like the ones that were on mine were like at least like $15. Like,
oh no. The books that I read, like the more expensive things would be like, I mean, I specifically remember getting the sticker book thing one time, and that I blew my whole budget on that. And my mother was like, "You're not gonna get a book to read," and I'm like, "Nope, not this time." But
I'm gonna get a book to stick.
Yeah, I was so into stickers at that point. I want to say that was like 5th or 6th grade, maybe. But yeah, I think I could for like $8, $8 or $10, I could get definitely 2 books of like paperback books. So.
Man, sticker books. Do you know I never actually used the stickers? I just put them in the book all pretty.
Well, exactly. You know, and that's the thing. Like, I never even wanted to peel them off the backing, because I was like, oh no, if I stick them to something, they won't be good anymore. They'll be tainted.
Yep, they'll be unusable. All right, we could devolve into
yes, we could.
Nostalgia from childhood.
At least sticker books are wholesome, as opposed to some of our other devolutions.
Yeah.
So, so Jana said they were just a couple dollars each when her kids were in grade school, late 80s, 90s. Yeah. So I was early 80s.
I mean, I was early to mid 90s going to Scholastic Book Fair, and I remember them being a lot more money than that.
Well,
but
you know, I think the economy drastically changed between like the 80s and the early 90s.
Man,
for sure.
It was something else. Before we get into anything, Stephanie, I have emailed you something real quick. And let me share my screen here, because this is the next book. I thought we'd get it out of the way. We were going to wait to announce it, but I was like, you know something? People are going to know now. So,
okay. So I will put it in
the chat. And then it will appear in all the other places that you would go looking for it later. And obviously, like, we'll keep, talking about it. So the major reason that this is going to be the next book is because around, let's see, we're going to start this book in April, like the very beginning of April, because that's the beginning of the next quarter. And then I think around the end of that quarter, April, May, June, New England Quilt Museum is going to have an exhibit curated by Sandra Sider and Pam Weeks.
Wonderful. And Pam wrote the forward to this, didn't she?
Yeah. So we will have an exhibit to tie up the reading of this book with, and I don't know, we could end up with people on the stream. Just
Maybe.
putting that out.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this book, and I was Janet already purchased it for Quilt Folk.
Yeah, so we remember we've been kind of hinting that some of you might already have this. And Stephanie had ordered it. I actually got a peek of it before hers showed up because the museum had gotten a couple of like advanced copies. And I had texted her and I was like, wow, like this is a book. Like, you know, it's funny when you're just seeing the just the front, you can't always like tell, right, if something's gonna be like thick or thin or like how it's gonna, and I was like,
I don't have it. I don't have my copy yet. My copy should be here. I need to check my order.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
I didn't order it right away when I said I was going to.
You
honestly,
lied to me.
I just had a whole bunch of stuff going on. It totally slipped my mind. And just this past week when I was away, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't ordered the book yet, and I want to see it. I mean, I want to just page through.
Yeah, it's got. I mean, Janet said she's got it already, right? Yeah, so she can attest to the fact that like it's got some oomph to it. Like,
well, you can see if you go on Amazon, which I think that's our Amazon link I put in there. You can see if you
the table of contents and stuff.
Yeah, you could scroll past just the front page, the front, and see the table of contents, and there's a ton of stuff in there. So I was like, ooh. I'm especially excited about this, not only because this year's is the quarter millennial, and I'm 99.9% sure that Sandra wrote this book with that in mind and got her publication date in January of 2026, so she'd have the whole year with this book to promote it. But because it does cover bicentennial, and that I had been studying bicentennial quilts and researching, and kind of stepped away from it for a little bit just because life has gotten crazy, but this will get me back there. So
you're going to reinvigorate that.
Yes. And American Quilt Study Group's Quilt Study, 2027 Quilt Study, which we're starting now, is also about commemorative quilts. So, and commemorative quilts don't necessarily mean bicentennial, centennial. They can mean lots of different things, which I know we're going to find out when we read this book. But just the fact that it does include bicentennial, it's kind of like somebody's going, Stephanie, finish your research. Or I'll never finish the research, but move your research forward, lady. So very excited. Yeah.
And then, hold on one second so there's a couple of things that I had decided to like grab into my email.
Well, while you're looking, I will also mention, because I think it has been announced, I don't think I'm overstepping, the AQSG Winter Virtual Seminar is coming up. And of course, if you're a member, you will get all the info. But if you're not a member, you can still attend our Winter Virtual Seminar. It just costs a little bit more. But Sandra Sider will be doing the keynote. And if you're a member, you get to go to the keynote for free. Like I said, if you're not, you have to pay a little bit. But yeah, so that could very well be a wonderful introduction to that in March. And then we'll start the book in April.
And then March, the dates are the 12th to the 15th?
The 12th to the 15th, yeah.
I was like, I have so many dates fumbling around in my head.
I know.
That like, I just can't
remember
them all. So, oh my God, it's February 10th.
Yes, I feel like, because I'm just getting back home. I should have been home like 4 days ago, but I just got back home. I feel like I'm sort of all discombobulated.
Sort of.
So I'm like, oh, it's already mid-February.
Yeah, I mean, like, so all this red here, Stephanie and I will actually be together, which we're going to be together working for AQSG. Obviously not every waking moment of the day, but sometimes it's like the good thing about the occasions when we get together and we're not like at like a seminar or something where, okay, my door just opened really creepily. If you see like just this like disembodied hand just like coming from the
Snatch
frame,
you.
yeah, at least promise me that you'll all scream, whether anyone hears you or not. But anyways, the great stuff about like when we're together is like we're able to also like spend a little bit of time and kind of hash out some of the other stuff that is on our calendar that we just go like, oh my God, we have to do this thing like right now. So, because yeah, we have some other stuff going on in this year that is, when I think about it right now, I'm kind of terrified. But it's really not that bad. It's really,
It's making me tired.
It's just, overwhelming. So yeah, so the next 2 Tuesdays will be recorded videos because we'll be traveling. And then just again, a reminder that while we're gone, we could pop up somewhere on YouTube or Instagram or somewhere if we can. Just know that if you get a notification, it's real. And then we'll stitch and glitch like
Stitch
as
and
soon
glitch
as
on
we
the
get
28th.
back. Yeah.
Yep.
So okie dokie. I think that's it for just like my general announcement stuff. Let's quickly talk about some stuff with a quick digress. Hold on, I can't read Janet's thing here because a quick digress is in the month of February.
Perfect rectangle with 4 of each day of the week.
Oh,
So yes,
yeah.
this February, yes, because the first started on a Sunday. Yes, it is a nice compact block of days.
Yes, that's true. I have some stuff for us to look at. And I don't know about you, but for the most part, I found the end of the book a bit of a snooze fest.
Maybe
So.
it was because I was riding in a car while I was reading this, and I was
Ew.
thinking to myself, "Don't get car sick. Don't throw
Why?
up."
Yeah. Why were you reading in the car?
Because I was worried I wasn't gonna finish the book, finish my reading in time. Because I've been discombobulated. I've been off my schedule, so I was reading early today. I don't know. I don't think I found this part as much of a slog as some other chapters, but yeah. I mean, I think there were some interesting things in here, so.
I'm just grabbing a couple of things, so go ahead and get started with your interesting things.
Well, I think it's interesting to me that Perkin, he kind of like, it's almost like the ghost of Perkin is like popping his head up out of his prairie dog hole every now and then, and he's getting a little famous, and people are like, "Oh, Perkin, oh, he's the best," and then he fades away a little bit, and I mean, and I don't know that it's necessarily in this first chapter, but Simon keeps going back to the fact that like so many people. Janet said we're interesting because it comes into modern times. Yeah, there's definitely some things that we can relate to more. But it seems like every chemist or professional that he talks to is like, oh, Perkin, he's so wonderful. We owe this to him. But Perkin is not necessarily being celebrated. Like, people have never heard of him. They couldn't find his grave. They, it's almost like for lack of just some of these things that are, that people do remember him, I feel like he would have just, faded away. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the part, I think it's in like 13, where the portrait of him like isn't hung like next to
Right,
other
exactly.
preeminent
Yeah.
like scientists. They had to like, it's like in the basement in a crate in a corner somewhere.
Exactly. But good old Hoffman, and I think back to all of the other chapters where Simon Garfield has talked about some of these other people, and Hoffman just comes up in my mind because Hoffman was his mentor and his professor. Hoffman was a self-promoter.
Yeah.
Perkin was not. Perkin was just
Mhm.
like, I want to discover things. I want to work on these things. I want to solve these problems.
Mhm.
And, he sees the commercial aspect of it. And he on and off, he gets flack for that. And it's like, well, pure chemistry just for the fun of making discoveries, you can't do that forever. You have to find something. And I mean, money makes the world go round. And so if you're solving people's problems, somebody wants to charge them for that. And, or even
Mhm.
if it's something as, not as important as, saving lives, just dyeing the lace on your dress, still people will pay for that. So, I feel like he also, so many fellow scientists were giving him crap because he went down that path of like capitalism, I guess, of money
Mhm.
instead of this pure research. Um,
Mm.
and I think some scientists today even kind of deal with that. I think that there's people that are like, oh, you're going to research and you're going to, do research for a drug company. You're a sellout. And it's like, well, somebody's got to pay for the research, right? And that's,
It's funny. I do know someone that used to work for Novartis Drug Company
mhm.
in cancer research. And he'd actually had some cancer drugs passed. And interestingly enough, this I worked with his wife. Um himself and like a handful of other like senior chemists creating some of the breakthrough drugs for cancer and things like that. They'd had some drugs passed, and then Novartis fired all of them and hired young, cheaper chemists.
Dirtbags.
Right? Isn't
Right.
that dirty? Anywho.
But I mean that's kind of indicative though of like the way this world works, I guess.
Mhm.
And I mean where I don't know anybody in this world. So
Like you don't know any, like not even me, you don't know anybody in the world?
I don't know anybody in the chemistry world, like other than Anne, our friend Anne.
That's true.
She was a chemist for I can't remember if it was a specific company or was it I can't
Yeah.
okay. I couldn't remember if it was for a company or if it was like a
Yeah.
governmental
Mhm.
kind of thing. But in any event, yes, Janet mentioned she didn't realize how old Bakelite is. I knew it was very old. I guess I
I
just
did
didn't.
not.
I didn't know much about it. I kind
Well,
of had, yeah, I kind of had assumed like maybe turn of the century was Bakelite.
I actually have something for us to watch.
Yes.
So let me grab that.
I'm looking
Oops.
forward to this because Jill read ahead last week and wanted to show this
This
last
is
week.
Okay, let me turn that sound on. Okay. Yeah, because like this like poor like link and everything has just been languishing dead for the last week because I had to like womp womp and like hold it off. Okay, let me share sound. Okay. So, um pay attention to your volumes because um I've got mine pretty high up.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
got mine up too. Can you make it big?
My name's Rosie Cook from the Chemical Heritage Foundation, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Bakelite, the first fully synthetic plastic, and the Bakelizer. In 1907, a Belgian immigrant named Leo Baekeland created what we now know as Bakelite. Known as a phenolinic resin, Bakelite was supposed to be a replacement for celluloid. The reason they needed to find a replacement for celluloid was actually because of billiard balls.
So I also never knew that it was meant to replace celluloid. I almost thought that like they were like both kind of just around at the same time, not that one was supposed to be like preceding the other.
Yeah, I guess I'm sure I've heard that. I don't think that I ever gave it a whole lot of thought because it sounds familiar when they say it.
Mhm.
I guess I just, I think of them both as kind of inferior plastics. But in knowing that Bakelite is meant to replace celluloid, I mean, Bakelite is a much more stable
Oh, for
plastic.
sure.
It's a
Yeah.
yeah, and it surprised me because the billiard balls are mentioned here in the book.
Yeah.
That surprised me.
Yeah. So just even though I stopped this, just to get everyone back on track, she just said that it came around because of billiard balls.
During a game of pool, if you struck a celluloid billiard ball at just the right angle, the ball could actually explode. So the Hyatt Billiard Ball Company actually held a contest to see who could create a better billiard ball. Leo Baekeland decided to enter his brand new state-of-the-art resin into this competition and ended up being one of the finalists. Bakelite was produced by combining phenol and formaldehyde under intensive pressure and heat.
Formaldehyde.
The instrument that Baekeland created was the Bakelizer. The Bakelizer is
Bakelizer.
basically a very large pressure cooker. The Bakelizer, referred to by Baekeland as Old Faithful, was the very first machine used by Baekeland to undergo this process. The Bakelizer that you see here is actually the only reproduction of the original Bakelizer. It was produced for CHF's museum and is completely to scale and is a complete replica of the original Bakelizer. The Bakelizer was stored in Baekeland's backyard shed for a number of years until it was donated by his family to the Smithsonian Museum of American History. In 1993, the American Chemical Society declared the Bakelizer to be a National Chemical Historical Landmark. In the 1920s, German chemists developed the ability to dye plastics. Before this time, plastics such as Bakelite could only be produced in black and brown. Because of this development, resins like Bakelite exploded onto the market. Consumer goods such as poker chips, neck and rings, belt buckles, bracelets became a fad. Everything from telephones to transistor radios were created, even fashion accessories like hair combs and bags. A lot of times handbags were created by combining Bakelite with a clear plastic called lucite. Sometimes even shoes were created using these two materials. Today, Bakelite jewelry from the 1920s and the 1930s can sometimes be collected for as much as $100 and $120 a piece, and that's something for as simple as a very plain bracelet. Bakelite and other resins were replaced by polyethylene and other more easily extrudable plastics because of their ease of moldability and castability. If you want to learn more about Bakelite or the Bakelizer, come visit us at the Chemical Heritage Foundation in Philadelphia. I'm Rosie Cook. Thanks for watching.
Oh, it's in
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
So-
I'd never heard of the Bakelizer. I love that. And Janet said, weren't I'm assuming you mean billiard balls, were they originally made from ivory? I don't know. I don't know anything about like the history of pool. So
I don't either.
but that seems like possible because like dice were.
So one of the things that I found really interesting in thinking about that is, one of the ways that we, meaning you and I and our people, have been engaging with Bakelite is through sewing tools.
Yes, and buttons and buckles.
Mhm. And so I had just done, a search here, and like, these little guys
Mm-hmm.
are really collectible. Actually, I think I have this one in particular.
Yeah.
And I've got a shorty here, but like there are so many of these little like Bakelite people
Mm-hmm.
in sewing tools and stuff
Mm-hmm.
that I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I have one of them and it's missing a part. I think I can't.
Yeah, I
remember
have
what part it's
one.
missing,
I've
but-
got a few, and one is like missing its like thimble hat or something
Mhm.
like that. But yeah, I thought that
Yeah.
was so
I
cool.
have a couple of pieces. I'm trying to see. I think I might have taken it upstairs, but I have like a little thread thing. It's very small.
Oh
Also,
yeah, I think I know exactly what you're
it's
talking
like a little thread thing, and then I have
like a caddy.
buttons. Yeah, it's like a little. Actually, it might even really be for bobbins. I'm not sure. It's very
Yeah,
small.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then I have I have kind of a large-ish collection of antique and vintage buckles. Either belt fashion
Mhm.
buckles or shoe buckles. And yeah, I was surprised. I didn't realize how many I had, and I dumped them out one day. I was like, oh my god, I didn't have and there are a lot of Bakelite ones in there. So I think that's maybe one of the cheaper ways if you wanted to collect Bakelite, to do that. Also, I know they did like dresser sets, brush, mirror, like the handles would be Bakelite. I'm thinking that Bakelite must be small. They must be smaller pieces than, say, polyethylene and our modern plastics, because they had to go into that pressure cooker.
The
I
Bakelizer.
guess. The Bakelizer. That's so funny. So Janet said balls made from stone, wood, and ivory at first. Okay.
Stone. Can you imagine hitting billiard balls with of stone?
Yeah, that would kind of suck. Well, or to create them in the first place, because I mean, to get them perfectly, round to be able to roll,
It's amazing what people can accomplish when they
Yeah.
really want to accomplish it.
Now celluloid, I know, celluloid is interesting. I've read a tiny bit about celluloid, and I have a few things that are celluloid. They're mainly little toys and things. Celluloid is so very fragile. So it surprises me that at any point they made something like a billiard ball out of it. I just can't quite wrap my head around that. And in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, it would explode because it's very fragile. But I'm also thinking, celluloid is very flammable too. So it seems like Bakelite, there's probably a multitude of reasons why Bakelite was good as a replacement for celluloid.
Do you know celluloid's very flammable from personal experience, or
No.
Okay.
Actually, I want to say, I'm trying to think what was it Inglourious Bastards, the movie,
I don't think I ever saw that movie.
Yeah, it's a Brad Pitt movie. I'm trying to think, I think it was, what's his name that did Pulp Fiction?
John Travolta?
No, the director. Oh, why can't I think of his name? Anyway, he's kind of a stooge. Anyway, he it was, I think it was a very good movie. It's kind of violent and rough, but it's an interesting movie. But there's a point where a Jewish woman, in order to flee or to evade the Nazis, burns down this movie theater, and the celluloid film is very, very flammable. Yeah, and there are cases where big storage facilities of film have gone up in flames because it's so flammable.
Oh.
Yep.
Here I was thinking you were just at home burning celluloid.
No, I mean, I only have a few little pieces that I'm positive are celluloid. And they're like, I have a little tape measure, it's a little squirrel, and you pull this tail, and it's like a tape measure. And you can just press it and crush it in, you can dent it by pushing on it. It's such a soft plastic.
Yeah.
I mean, almost like a thick cellophane. I mean, I guess they're probably, that cello part is probably similar chemical,
One thing that I did enjoy about these later chapters, like the Bakelite, is how he's mentioning other inventions that are happening at the time, on page 163. He mentions that in 1938 DuPont introduces nylon.
Yes.
And then in the next chapter, on 168 in 1956, George de Mestral invents or patents Velcro.
Yeah, and that surprised me. I would have never guessed that Velcro was patented in 1956.
What would you guess?
Quentin Tarantino. Thank you, Janet. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name. I don't know. I guess I thought, because Velcro was like a space program thing. And I guess, I don't know, I'm thinking the 1960s, but the space program, I guess, getting to the moon was not the beginning of the space program. It had been going on for a while. So,
well, that in 1956 is not that far off.
I realize that. Yeah. Janet said she thought Velcro was NASA too. I'm wondering if this guy patented it and then like immediately NASA got hold of it or something, like bought the patent or something.
That,
something
well,
like that.
considering it's DuPont, like that would make a lot of sense. He probably was having dinner.
Well, it doesn't say, it just says Swiss inventor. It doesn't, I didn't think that there was any necessarily any connection to DuPont with him.
Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. You're talking about Velcro. Sorry. That was, I
Yeah.
was talking back about nylon.
And I also love the references to Miss Clairol.
Mhm.
And I'm just thinking, I mean, I've done many. So Jill just got her hair cut and her color redone, and it looks very nice. And I think like if I try to do that color at home, I will look like a circus freak because I've never had luck with hair dye. But I guess,
Well,
you know,
not to mention your bathroom would also look like a circus freak.
my God, yeah. We used to dye our hair in high school, and everybody's mother was like, "Don't you dare! Don't you dare!" So we'd like have to go to somebody else's house and then ruin towels. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can imagine at that time, women, that must have been like, you know, again, just like being able to dye your dress, you know, your dress fabric's a fun color. Being able to dye your hair at home must have been really exciting.
Mm-hmm. I don't find it really exciting anymore.
I know. I'd rather pay somebody to do it. I also, this was interesting on page 168. In 1956, the most fashionable color was black. So was it the Beat generation? I don't know. Like, what was happening there? Why was black so big in 1956?
Well, I think black has almost always,
Sure.
you know, been a quote fashionable color of your little black dress that everyone has to have. Maybe that's kind of when the shift happened where black was more than just mourning. You know, because it's funny because in the Victorian period, mourning is not necessarily black. It's that dark gray.
The gray, yeah.
And prints, the dark gray and black prints. And then it seems like it kind of like morphs a bit into just like a solid dark, whether it's a really dark like slate or really, sometimes I've seen like really dark, like blue, like super dark. And then the black. And then it comes out to be like, oh, now this is, I guess part of it would be like, when in the zeitgeist did it start to change where it wasn't just mourning, it became a symbol of like sexy.
Well, and I'm kind of wondering, like, it's kind of probably the 50s into the 60s. Think about Breakfast at Tiffany's, the little black dress, Audrey Hepburn, like that was the pinnacle of classy New York, like socialite sort of. So the fact that 1956 is a big color for black in fashion is probably should make sense to us.
I'm just gonna turn my camera off for a second here. I gotta blow my nose.
Okay. So there was a couple things in here just that, you know, I just always pick up these little tidbits that I just love. And on page 170, he mentions, let's see, the big London events included lectures at the Royal Institution, a soiree in honor of overseas visitors from 14 countries at the Worshipful Company of Tallow Chandlers. The worshipful companies in the UK are so fascinating to me. I
don't even know what that is.
It's in England. Well, they're specifically England. I don't think they're United Kingdom. They're specifically England. So, gosh, it goes back to medieval times. And even today, when I was in England, the woman that did, she was our tour guide. She belongs to two worshipful companies, and they were trade guilds. Right. So, and I can't remember the one she belonged to. Was something so odd. One was like basket makers or something. And then I can't remember what the other one was, glove makers or something. And then the tallow chandlers, so meaning candle makers. So they're guilds, but they're also church related. So way back in the medieval period, these guilds, these worshipful companies would put on the pageants, like the religious pageantry. So like to teach you, they do these little pageants about, you know, about Jesus and all the things. And these, you know, coming into the modern times, these worshipful companies, I don't think we have anything in the US that I could like say is kind of like the same thing.
Mhm.
Because we just don't, you know, I mean, we just don't have anything that's exactly the same, but they're basically a service organization now. And I think they're all associated with the church, but I'm not positive.
Mhm.
In modern times, they may not be. But yeah, they do things around like the holidays. They do like kind of service oriented things. I mean, the fact that they have this, this place where they can hold a soiree. I mean, that says something. Like so it's just such an interesting. It's like one more thing that England has that we don't have. That's just interesting,
I
And it
mean,
goes
I feel
back a
like
couple thousand years.
yeah, I feel like England has like all the things that we don't have.
Yeah. And on 172, would like to mention that first full paragraph says the British Colour Council, which had given Perkins Mauve the classification 225 in its color index, suggested that there were 7 fashionable shades in current use that were based directly on Perkins' first color. And so again, I think this goes back to the fact that we have not been able to like put our finger firmly on what is mauve.
Well, and this really just clears it out for us because we're going from like there's Daphne pink, pink clover, lavender. We
Mhm.
talked about this earlier about like those light purples being like a lavender.
And I'm wondering,
Purple lilac.
I'm assuming that's wild orchid. That might be like a typo, maybe.
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 Yeah,
I
the
can look
S
as
is
well
right
at
near the
it.
C. The S is right near the C.
Yeah. Well, that should be a D. Yeah, it's right beside the D. Yeah. But yeah, all these
Oh, yeah, that's
colors
what I
to
meant.
me, I'm like, okay, yes, pink clover. Like I'm assuming that that's coming from like the little pink flowers that grow with clover. Daphne pink, I don't know what that is, but it sounds pretty. Sweet lavender. I mean these colors, I'm like, okay, this is why we can't really nail it down because it created different shades. And then skipping forward to page 176. Oh my gosh. This whole listing of this, these different categories in the 7,500 artificial colors. I was like, holy crap. I mean, some of these colors, I'm like, yeah, okay, I've heard of colors, with names like these. And it never occurred to me like that anybody would have ever like categorized them like this,
I mean, somebody with ADHD and like
well, I mean, I look like, okay, 133 animals. Buff from buffalo. Well, what about fawn from a baby deer? I mean, I like immediately was like thinking of them. Birds, blue jay, cardinal red. I'm like immediately thinking of all of these colors that beyond the examples he gave. So, yeah, that was just crazy to me. And I always love to look at. So, as an example, Checker Distributors is a wholesale company that sells. If you're not aware of it, they sell sewing and crafting type things to at wholesale prices to businesses. And I used to have an account with them, and I would go in and I'd want to buy like embroidery floss or thread or whatever. And some brands of embroidery floss, threads, and whatever come in like a zillion colors. I mean, DMC floss alone, what that display looks like. And some of these other companies, I think, have even more than that. And just scrolling through and going like, I just want yellow. Well, there's like 80 different yellows with this one. Like, and you're like, oh, do I want a light yellow? Do I really want that neon yellow? What about more of a banana yellow? How's banana and marigold different? It's crazy. So,
especially I just like if you've ever been working on a project using something like a DMC floss and you need more of it and you forgot the color number at home.
Yes.
And you are raw dogging trying to like
you're like
color
holding
match
on
that.
It kind of
Yeah.
looks the same.
Yeah, so I'm like, I think I remember being that one. So like I would just go, like, let's say it's a red, I would just go and buy every single red.
One
You
of
know,
every
at
one,
like
yeah.
the 50, yeah, like the 50 cents a skein, or maybe they're on sale that day. I think the lowest price I've ever gotten is 11 cents. And then just take them all home, because there were a couple times I'd get home and find out, wow, it's nothing. Like,
It's none of the 5 reds I bought.
yeah,
And you know, I had to remember this book is written in what I think it was in 2000 is when it was published, and then our edition is 2002. In let's see, on page 177, this is the end of the whole list of color categories. 20 colors are human related, and I'm curious to know what else there is. But I mean, do they have like a kidney brown? Stomach pink? Nude. I'm pretty sure my nude is different than your nude. So this is
my nude, it says nude, aka iridescent.
right. Like, I was like, who's nude? You know, and that was one of the things. I mean, I remember when you know, flesh tone, skin tone, nude, like, what does that mean? We are all like, our color, our skin colors are all different. So I was like, yeah, that's one of those ones where, and you know, like,
do they have
pantyhose?
one? Do they have one like toenail fungus yellow?
Snot green.
Gangrene.
Yeah, I struggle to know what these 20 human colors are, but
Well, maybe that's all
nude
the
doesn't
nudes.
work.
Maybe all it's all
20
different
nudes.
nude colors.
Yeah. So from transparent white person to a very dark black or brown person. Like, I think I'm at the one end of the scale.
I don't know. My skin, like, it actually makes it look like I have, but like I'm see-through.
Yeah,
Basically.
you are pretty pale.
Yeah, I'm see-through.
Oh,
The nice thing is that, like, the lights here and maybe sitting next to your skin gives me some color, a little pinkiness.
I look like I have a little bit of liveliness to me up against a white quilt.
Well, hold on. I'm just curious if I show my arm. Can you guys see? Oh yeah, you can see my vein. You can like I'm someone you can see all the blue.
Yeah.
Through my skin.
Yeah.
I look like a roadmap.
Yeah, same. And so then we get to the DuPonts. Wow, the DuPonts. I feel like we could fill days of discussion about the DuPonts. One thing I could say that my own personal connection to the DuPonts is my in-laws, where my husband grew up, where I just came from. Their house is in a it's not really a neighborhood. It's just, their house is along kind of a rural road, and they live on a private drive. But they're right beside Montpelier, which was James Madison's home. And the DuPonts owned it for quite a long time. So I don't know for sure, but I could imagine the DuPonts snapped it up in the 1800s. I could be wrong about that. They lived in it for a very long time, and before they did anything with it, because now you can go and tour it, like, it's been restored to like its original, colonial look or whatever. But apparently it was in bad shape. Like, they had done all kinds of crazy stuff to it, like added stuff on, and it had sat empty for a long time. I mean, because again, these are the DuPonts. They don't need to live necessarily in the houses they own. They could be anywhere. So, yeah, and I guess there was perhaps some dislike of the DuPonts in that area because they had ruined this historical house. So anyway, that's my own like tenuous connection to a DuPont property. I had totally forgotten about the Foxcatcher story. John DuPont and his murderous ways. I don't know if anybody saw that movie. I think Steve Carell.
Which movie was it?
It was called Foxcatcher.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it was about, he was they were Olympic wrestlers. Like he was running this Olympic wrestling. I can't remember. I didn't see all of the movie. I only saw part of it, but
Because you fell
yeah.
asleep because you were bored.
Quite possibly. But yeah, he like basically killed this Olympic wrestler, and yeah, that's the
Hmm.
and that's what we know about the DuPonts.
Hmm.
Nylon, chemicals, paint, and murder.
It should be something you research then, because you like the murders, what attracts you to research topics.
I still have my Dr. Dunton, the murder in his world
Mhm.
to finish because I don't want to digress, but I don't read Japanese, so I can't figure out what happened to this man that committed a murder in Dr. Dunton's circle. He got extradited back to Japan, and who knows what happened to him there.
Gotcha.
But anyway.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, just looking at all the things that are trademarked by DuPont. So nylon, Teflon, Lycra, cellophane, all kinds of medication, petroleum-based products. I mean, any kind of plastics, or DuPont has had.
Yeah, literally, they're touching every person's life in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and what their big colors were sulfur black and indigo. That was interesting to me. That was on page 177.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not know that the ancestor, I guess the original French nobleman, helped Thomas Jefferson draft the peace treaty that ended the War of Independence, the Revolutionary War. And that's actually interesting. I'm assuming I've assumed all along, even though there's no author. I'm assuming Simon Garfield is British.
Just because of his name.
No, just the way he's.
His name sounds but his name sounds British to me.
Right, but the way he's described things, and also so like color is spelled Lour
with an E.
But the fact that he calls it the American War of Independence, where we would call it the Revolutionary War, probably, an American writer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so. I liked the DuPont joke on page 178.
I was just gonna say on the back here, he's written another book about Britain in the time of AIDS, which won a British award.
Right, the Somerset Mauve Award.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty likely that
was Somerset Mauve a British writer? I thought Somerset Mauve was a Southern writer.
I'm assuming I'm pretty sure it's. Hold on, I'll look.
Well, I mean, the fact that it's Britain, it would make sense that Somerset Mauve was a British writer, but I don't know. So I think one of the things I really enjoyed. Well, okay, so
yes, English writer.
Okay, 181 made me sad. In the postcard rack in the shop, and this is at the National Portrait Gallery, there is no room for him between Samuel Pepys and Beatrix Potter.
Yeah, and then like his portrait is like, in
a crate. Yeah.
In the basement, they think, in like a dark alleyway, surrounded by ghosts. Like,
but I did love the fact that, I guess is it after. It's after the author's note, right? Where this woman Wendy Bluden, she has the punch bowl that he got when he came to Boston. I loved that. I thought that was like, oh, it was, it was saved. A family member has it. It's not just sitting collecting dust in the basement of one of these museums.
No, it's collecting dust in someone's house.
Yeah, but she clearly cares about his, she found his gravestone and everything. So, one thing, let's see, I didn't highlight a whole lot of things in these chapters, but I did.
No, I didn't either.
This one thing that I thought was so brilliant. I just passed it. Where did you go? All right, now. It was in this last chapter.
Get it together, girlfriend.
Maybe it was in 13. It's something to the effect of everyone has their own mauve.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Like, and that's true. And we've like definitely displayed that here with my mauve pink bedroom in early 90s.
Yeah, it was in the author's note. I'm sorry. It was in the
Oh.
author's note. But yeah, 198. Mauve moves from lilac to lush purple, depending on the light, on descriptive prowess, on memory, on upbringing. Everyone has their own mauve, whatever it may be. I thought that was like a beautiful. I wish that's how he had ended. I think that really ending the book with like, you know, he's talking about, you know, these chemistry students and their, you know, Calvin Klein spray. I used to wear. I'm pretty sure whatever he's talking about, I used to wear it. The Calvin Klein.
Well, this author's note, maybe this author's note, I don't know if anyone has the first published edition, but I'm wondering maybe this author's note came after.
Well, I'm sure it did, but this little phrase here, this little sentence here, that would have been a perfect way to end the book. But the book is ended as, but she could find no trace of him. Those are the last words in the official part of the book, and I was like, that's sad. I didn't like it ending that way. I prefer that everyone has their own mauve. So.
And you know what's funny is it makes you wonder, like, if Perkin were around today, he'd probably be pissed that mauve has like that so many different colors now.
Look,
Like our
Mr.
cloud
Perkin,
mauve.
look, you can clothe your entire water closet, including the carpet on the floor, with your mauve.
Yeah, which is nothing like the color that you actually invented.
Yeah.
Yeah, so before I go into some other things to look at real quick, just your general review here.
I give it 4 out of 5. I mean, I think it was an interesting book. You know, I mean, obviously there were parts where I was kind of like snooze, but it was because it got into like world events or stuff that I just didn't like get me interested. I feel like there's kind of like maybe something for everyone in this book.
Yeah.
The reason why I wouldn't give it a higher rating is because there are some things that I think the editor could have done a better job. I think the writing was fine. I think the editor was lacking.
Yeah, I definitely found it interesting to learn to kind of do a deep dive into an aspect of all of our fabric stuff here that normally we're not thinking a whole lot about, that is we can't get to a lot of the places we get to here without it. It would be like saying, you know, well, you know, I love quilts, but I don't care about the Industrial Revolution. Like,
Right.
yeah, so like I think that it's important in a book study group like this that on occasion we do have something like this.
Yeah.
To, you know, or like when we were reading the Dress Diary and like, you know, and how much extra history that went into, where you and I both were like, whoa.
Yeah, I had no idea about some of the historical things. I mean, either we weren't taught, it just wasn't part of our history curriculum as kids in the United States, or it was just stuff that was like, what? I didn't know that happened. I would say that I think learning about this as a topic, you know, told through the story of the man himself was more digestible than if it had been like pure chemistry. Like, this like a pure, and I don't mean pure chemistry, like this is how Malvine, you know, but just like it was invented and then this happened and that. I feel like the man himself as the anchor made it more like
relatable.
You know, yeah.
Janet said The Secret Lives of Color is an interesting book and have to dig it up and look up Mauve. Yeah, I've heard of that one too. I don't think I have that one.
I have it. I have not yet read it.
Oh, okay.
Secret Lives of Color is that the one by Claire? I can't remember her last name. Is she the one? I think she's the one that wrote The Golden Thread. I could be mixing a couple of authors up, but because there's a bunch of books that kind of came out around the same time, but they're wonderful books for sure. And I've heard great things about The Secret Lives of Color.
Well, do we want to
Yeah, you have a couple of things to look at.
I
And
do.
I
So,
also yeah, and then I have a taco that I want to finish eating.
um, so I just last week wrapped up a volunteering gig, and it was so nice. It was at the Berlin Historical Society, and the man that runs it, Barry, he decided like on the last day, I had no idea. We were doing a lot of clothing cataloging. We had like a couple of quilts, nothing like, oh my God, they were like 1930s quilts. But he decided on the last day, like at the very end of the day, to pull out a couple of quilts and quilt related things. I'm going to show you two of the things now. One, we're going to save for another video because it doesn't relate to Mauve, but it's cool. So, both of these are, in the realm of crazy quilts, which I was like, So let me.
By the way, Janet gives the book a 4 out of 5 as well. So good
You
job, Simon Garfield.
It's nice when we all agree, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, this is interesting.
yeah. So the person that I was helping, that I haven't really mentioned much, but I don't see any reason not to mention, was Lynn Bassett, who's a well-known textile historian. This is her right here, and they pull this out, and what's really interesting is this fringe.
Yeah, I was
Doesn't
just looking
it
at that.
look
I'm
like
like, what?
suede?
Yes, I was gonna say it either looks like fleece or suede or something.
It totally was giving like heavy suede vibes, but
Was it
it's
wool?
like
Was it like
it's
a wool
like a
felt?
wool flannel type thing. It was
Okay.
very odd. But anywho, pulls this out, right? And because it's, I mean, generally speaking, crazy quilts, like they're not necessarily anything super amazing. This one was not highly embellished or anything. But I had spoken to Lynn a couple weeks previously about Mauve, and we're telling her like that we're reading this book and stuff like that, and asking her kind of like how she would characterize that, and she was like, yeah, I feel like it's maybe more of like an amethyst, and I was like, that's very interesting. So we pulled this out, and you can tell there's a number of different purples on here.
I'm like, it looks like there's violet and lavender and Daphne pink and
Yeah. So I say to Lynn, I said, okay, Lynn, looking at this, and I'm thinking about this. There's this is a very deep, like plummy. Here's a purpley blue. Here's another dark purple, very light.
yeah,
So
that one down there at the bottom is reading to me like the book, like that skein of yarn, that hank of yarn in the book.
So I say to Lynn, which one of these to you is Mauve? And she immediately points to this one.
That one. Okay.
And I'm like, so that's interesting. So to me, if someone said amethyst, this would not be what I would think of. I would think of amethyst as being something a little bit darker than that.
Yeah.
But
I would definitely 100% have picked that one that's like there. It's at the top of the photo.
This?
Yeah. But again, I'm looking at this through my screen, so that's not necessarily the actual color.
Based on that original dye sample, I would pick something like this.
Okay.
Because this is cooler. This is warmer.
Yeah, and here we are with the. I realize our picture's not that big, but
yeah,
you guys know.
So yeah, it's very interesting.
I mean, I kind of feel like that one that's right there by her hand is.
But remember that dress you're pointing out? We saw that dress in two different photos.
And it looked totally. The color looked totally different in the two different photos. Yes.
So hold on. I took a. Here you go. So here's that one purple close up. Now, to me, this is the later mauve that we get, that lavendery mauve, that half morning mauve. But it really just goes to show you the drastic differences in the opinions of who, what, where, when.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. And then, so this next one that we're going to look at, I threw in because it has a lot of purples in it. but it's not necessarily related. This is not this one here is a quilt that the Historical Society owns. The next one is not one that they own yet. It's they borrowed it and they're hoping to take it into their collection. But it has a lot of purples. You can see all the purples that
Is
stand
it
out.
silk?
It's a number of stuff.
Okay.
But yes, there's a lot of silk. There's silk and like heavier, but like look at this right here.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Or this little like lighter one up here. There were some really great, you've got this one over here. There are some really great fabrics in this. And then like the red centers. It's interesting because these ones aren't too bad, but some of them felt like they had been a velvet.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so hard. We didn't have a microscope, of course, but it was so hard to tell, were they a velvet and the fuzzy wore off, or were they just really, really soft fibers? We couldn't really tell because almost nothing can still had what would have been the velvet top, but it was very hard to tell, especially without a microscope. But otherwise we were just oogling over all of the different fabrics. But this was really cool because you can see like it's so dramatically planned, the placement
Yeah.
of the fabrics, because look at all these blues that pop up all in the same place here.
Yep. And then the
It's-
blues that are on that centerpiece.
Yeah.
The blues on the outer edge.
The
Janet says
only
what she
Sorry, go
thinks
ahead.
of as mauve is what we're looking at here in this log cabin.
So and then the only like decorative stitching is just in the center here, and then on the edges I'll show you.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's
you can
interesting.
see here how this edge is also like a purpley. And even on the way that it's closed, which is what I'm going to show you, is very interesting. I'm going to turn this around in a second, but the backing, I didn't get a whole. Did I get a
that's
whole big
interesting.
picture of the backing? Hold on. I don't think that I did.
Yeah, what is the deal with that backing? Is that like a
It's,
is it like a textured?
It's actually like it's a strippy back.
Okay.
Did I get a picture of the back? No, I did not. I did not. So I'll flip this around because there's this actual
So
thing.
it's a decorative blanket stitch that they
Yeah. So
did
it's
instead of
like a
iron.
knife edge almost.
But then
which
they used a decorative blanket stitch.
yeah. And it's in great shape.
Cordelia
Hastings.
Okay,
or
that's what I thought.
Yeah, Hastings.
1892. Okay.
Mhm. For Perry H. White. Cordelia. We need to bring that name back.
Yeah, I think Cordelia's a cool name.
I don't know, there's something about the way the stitches put this patch on that just, I don't know, it feels comforting and nostalgic to me.
Yeah, kind of charming.
Yeah. Isn't that cute?
That is very cool. And like I do have a couple of crazy quilts. I'm trying to think. I don't have a whole lot of pre-1900 things in my collection just because as a baby collector and a frequently poor person. But I do have several crazy quilts and I have a it's like a string quilt but they're sort of made, they're hexagons sort of that are strings. I'm trying to, I have pictures of it on my phone. I should look and then pull it out and see. Janet said Anna Green Gables, call me Cordelia. I've forgotten about that. So yeah, I just in my mind I'm thinking of a couple of quilts I have that are like, turn of the century, maybe 1890s, and I do have I think at least one of my crazy quilts 100% is dated 1883, but I'm trying to think the other one, I don't know if it's dated or not. I don't remember, but I feel like I've got some silks kicking around that might be these colors. So I need to
Mhm.
look. I need to.
Well, like I said last time when I was like thinking like, man, I gotta find like some fabrics to look at, and I'm like, given the
Mhm.
time period, we gotta look at the crazy quilts with the dress
Yeah.
fabrics. Like,
Yeah, and I think the quilts I'm thinking of, I think they're all in storage. So
yeah, like
that's why I
this
hadn't given them much thought. Yeah.
actually, when you think about it, this purple here and this
Mhm.
purple here is like the two versions of that dress.
Yep.
This one's warmer, this one's cooler.
Yep.
Like this is like more my time period's mauve
Yeah, it's more pinky.
from my
Yeah.
bedroom.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then we're getting into this here, but like some of these other fabrics are just like so awesome.
I feel like with mauve, like, I mean, yeah, you its primary like identity is purple, but when you try to describe it, you're like, is it kind of like a pinkish purple? Is it a grayish purple? It's kind of a warm grayish purple, which makes no sense. So,
Amen, sister, amen.
yeah, we've learned so much about mauve, but I feel like it's still a moving target to us.
Yeah, you're still just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just
And you
like,
know what?
I do look around at things and go, is that mauve?
Well, but you know what? Even Simon Garfield at the end here agrees that
Everybody has their own mauve.
mhm. Yep. Well, I'm always a little sad when we finish a book. I also feel a
Yeah,
sense
it's a
of
little.
accomplishment. Maybe if
Mhm.
we made sure to have a small deep dish pan pizza after every book. Like, should we like make it a thing now? Like every time we finish, like we have a slice of pizza on the stream. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, maybe that's what we should do. We can start that with Sandra Sider's book.
and you know what? It's kind of crazy now too, because like it's not often that when we say goodnight on a stream that it's gonna be for a good like,
I
you
know
know,
we're not going to see everybody
2 weeks.
for a couple weeks. I will. I'll be around.
It's just I mean, not like a ton.
Yeah, I'll be here this Thursday and the next Monday.
Um, yeah, like the next time we see everybody like live will
It'll be
be
the last day of February. Yeah, February 28th, right? Janet said she had pizza for lunch. I had pizza for lunch too. I just had one slice of pizza. We were on our way home. We stopped at Wegmans.
Oh, I did not have pizza for lunch, but I'm just kind of normally on Tuesday nights, I told you guys before we have like salmon and rice and like
Mhm.
just like raw vegetables and almost like
Well,
a deconstructed sushi roll.
it's kind of a Taco Tuesday, so my Scholastic certificate's gonna get me the rest of this taco.
Mhm. Yeah, well, the end of another book.
Well, I am very excited for Sandra's book and
Mhm.
all of the other hijinks that
Yeah.
we have planned for post QuiltCon. So
Yeah, we'll have a bunch of stuff to look at in March for, 4 streams and stitch and glitches. But it's nice. I like the nice break and I like to be able to like look at other stuff. So
yeah, it'll be fun. I'm sure we're gonna have lots of QuiltCon intel.
We're also gonna see Mary.
We will see Mary Fawns, you guys.
Mhm.
So we'll
Mhm.
be sure to get a picture and maybe even some video. Maybe we can get a video address from Mary to all of the quilt nerds.
Anything can happen. We should do
Anything
it
can
too
happen.
after she's had like a couple of drinks.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right
All
then.
right. That's gonna do it for
Thanks.
us.
Yeah. Well, I think Jill has got weather to drive through possibly, so I'm most worried about her. I for sure will have a good time. We both have driving partners, so
Mhm. Yep. So I'll arrive either feeling good or with my driving partner dead in the trunk because like they wouldn't stop talking or they were bad co-pilot or something like that.
or
Like,
or you made her like dig your car out of some snowdrift or something.
yeah. Okay.
All right, guys, we will see you soon. Be sure to, and just as a reminder, the next 2 Tuesdays, our videos will drop at 2 p.m. Eastern, so you'll be able to watch those at your leisure.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.